From the center of the universe, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, this is the SDM Show with your host, Rob Cairns. The SDM Show focuses on business, life, productivity, digital marketing, WordPress, and more. Sit back, relax, grab your favorite drink, and enjoy the show. Here is Rob.
Hey everybody, Rob Cairns here. I'm the founder, CEO, and chief creator of Amazing Ideas at Stunning Digital Marketing. In today's podcast, I sit down with Bridget Williard and Warren Lane-Nada, and we talk about their great book, the only online marketing book you'll need for your school. We share some tips, tricks from this amazing book. Sit back, relax, grab a drink, and enjoy the conversation. Hey everybody, Rob Cairns here. Today I'm here with Bridget Williard and Warren Lane-Nada, and we're talking about their book, the only online marketing book you will need for your school. And before we get to this podcast, I have to thank both of them for being so gracious. For the first time in 200 episodes, I actually lost the recording. Thanks, guys, for joining me again. How are you today?
Doing great.
Hey, Rob. Doing good. Thanks for having us back.
Oh, it's always a pleasure. So let's dive into how did you and Bridget start writing books?
Bridget, do you want to take that one?
Well,
ladies first or women first?
Thank you. So Warren and I had both been writing books in 2020. It was our coping mechanism for the pandemic. And so we were like both helping each other with promotions and stuff, you know. Just it's much easier to promote someone else's book than your own. It just feels less slimy. And then Warren was like, you know, I was thinking about writing a series. Why don't we do this together instead of constantly, you know, trying to do this alone? And I was like, okay, because, you know, Warren and I already write together for client work. So why not a book?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty much sums it up. Yeah, something useful. We wanted to write a book that people could use, because a lot of the books you just read and go, We wanted really something that people could use, little people like us.
Yeah, and I think this book, having read it twice now, that it's really usable for the average person. I think it's an easy read. So I read marketing and tech books all the time, and some of them are easy, some of them hard. I don't find this a hard read, to be honest with you. I think it's a really informative book from my perspective. And I kind of wanted to dive into some of the parts of the book. So you did a series. So would one of you talk about the series and the other books in the series real quickly, please?
Well, first of all, I want to say that we take it was an easy read as a compliment, which is most writers would be like, what? That's terrible. Because we wanted this to be a quick overview for someone who is either about to hire marketing and development teams or wants to do it themselves, and so that it's a reference book. So thank you for saying it's an easy read. That was completely intentional.
Yeah, my pleasure. It's well done. I mean, I have some books that I read. I'm reading one right now, and I won't name the title. And I'm like, I get a chapter in, and I'm like, I need to put this down. It's a good book. It's just hard read. And with your guys' writing, and it didn't surprise me because I've read some of your other books. I think I actually own every book the two of you put out, either together or on your own. So either in paperback format or Kindle format. I think they're really worthwhile. And I actually recommend them to people because I think the two of you as a team do a really good job on breaking the jargon down.
Yes.
And what we call in the business, dumbing it down for the average person. And I think that's really important.
That's what we want to do, right, Warren?
Yeah, it's got to be really user friendly. I mean, if you can't use a tool, then what's the point of it? And that really goes also for books, explaining things like online marketing. Definitely.
Yeah, it's true. Before we dive into some of the points in the book, one of the things I wanted to talk to you both about, and I honestly don't remember if it's in here or not in here, is before we look at different parts of marketing for school, one of the things I think every school needs to do is sit down and look at what their budget is to play with.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to have a budget because they think that if they say that their budget is $10,000, that the vendor will come in at $9,997.
Yeah.
I'm not saying tell your vendor what it is, but I don't know how many times either of you have sat down with clients and you sort of say, I think this work you're going to do is going to cost you a couple $1,000, and they look at me and say, I thought it would be cheap, or I thought it would be nothing. Or they'll say, oh, I'll do it myself. And my argument to that is, if you do it yourself and it takes you 10 hours, what's that person's salary for 10 hours? That's a budget.
Yeah. I think, just about the budget, I think, especially for school, I mean, for anyone, but for schools, I guess specifically, the budget is also a question of like overall resources, like time. Do they have the people? Do they have the time? Do they have the abilities? And then the money. I don't know. I think I've had less question of money coming from schools than other places, because they do seem to have some budget for marketing, especially private schools. But it's more that, they maybe need to use the money for something else because they think, oh, why do we need to market? We're a school. So, I think just general resources.
I think one of the things that marketing the schools that's a little different is people have an attachment to their school. People have attachments in the U.S. to the university they went to, the high school they went to. In Canada, it's the same thing, and we have those attachments.
Absolutely. We absolutely have those attachments. Whether it's going to football games, in the United States, it's about to be March Madness, which is all about college basketball. We have those loyalties, and those loyalties have to do with our identity. I was just talking to a friend of mine who found out that, somebody got hired at their place of business because the supervisor went to the same college. It wasn't like that great of a college, but it was still the same college. That loyalty, and my friend was saying, oh, maybe they have a better program. I said, it's not has anything to do with a better program. That person, so I went to Fresno State, then I went to San Diego State. That's where I graduated. And then I got my multiple subjects teacher credential from Fullerton State. And those are, when I say state, those are all California. So let's say San Diego State, go Aztecs, okay? And so I say I went through their liberal arts program, which I have the opposite reaction to. I would never hire anybody at my school who went through their liberal arts program to be a teacher because those people were not that bright. I'm sorry, but they weren't, and they shouldn't be teachers. But a lot of times people will say, oh, you went to that school? I went to that school. It's the best program. It's the best program because I went to it. And I'm hiring you to validate my own identity. That is how deep the branding goes for colleges, ballet schools, yoga centers. I mean, oh, wow, you got certified by this program? Wow, that's amazing. And even in the WordPress world, oh, I really want to hire you to write. Did you go through this certain program? No, I'm just running for clients, right? But, oh no, I didn't go through that program, so you better not hire me, right? Did you go through this program or that program? All of these courses, whether it's a HubSpot certification or going to Harvard Medical School, all have to do with how people see themselves and their identities. And that is why marketing for schools is deeper and more important in our culture than any other type of marketing.
I would agree. I mean, you look at our mutual friend Todd Jones, he's one of the biggest Arkansas sports fans that I know, and that's his identity. And I look at my family, and my uncle sat on the board of directors of Florida State University at one time. So my family has deep ties to FSU University for that exact reason, and they will never go away. I mean, no, it's so true. Which brings me to my next point. You wrote a chapter about donations. How does that identity impact donations?
Oh, probably for schools. I mean, this is probably more of a North American thing. I mean, I'm sitting in Europe; it's not so much here, but alumni, and certainly if you have a successful business or estates are bequeathed to schools, alumni work together with schools. So, I mean, donations are really the financial extension of that marketing and that identification that we have with schools. And in North America, it's very strong because, so many people grow up and spend their entire lives in one area. And it might have a well-known high school, it might have a well-known college or university, which they might attend and work or be connected to in some other way. So that donation is like the final point to continue to contribute and support your school throughout your lifetime. So it's donations are really that sort of that continual marketing.
And even in public schools, everybody knows about the PTA, parent-teacher organization, or whatever it's called. Bake sales, and so like, if you're on a keto diet, you're not going to eat cupcakes or something, or, these little, these schools turn our students into little shysters, who are selling gift wrap and jams. And, we all know about the Girl Scout cookies and everything. Like, how about just have an online donation form for your parent-teacher organization or your drama program or the mathletics program, and let me donate to that, and I'll buy whatever I want. I want to buy your chocolate bar just so that kid could go on a field trip.
Yeah. It's go ahead. Sorry.
And what is the best donation platform out there online as far as the 2U are concerned?
GiveWP.com. It's the most robust online platform for WordPress by far. I didn't work for them or anything.
I would agree. Maybe you should actually. That's a great.
No, I did. That's where I start. That's one of my claims to fame.
That one I did not know, Bridget.
2015 to 2017, I worked for Thought House, which is an advertising agency in San Diego, and GiveWP was essentially our client. So they sent me to WordCamps to give keynotes and other talks, and to be a booth babe. They don't call it that because that's, WordPress people would hate that.
That's a surprise.
No, I mean, and I've talked to them about like donations. And the thing is, you could collect money from PayPal, and you could collect money with Stripe at a Gravity form. But what you don't have data on is form by form performance. Right? Mm-hmm. But with Give, which is now owned by Liquid Web and is part of the Stellar WP family, with Give, you can have as many donation forms as you want, and then you have appropriate reporting. And you're collecting that donor data right there. So, you don't need to have it connected necessarily to Salesforce or something like that. You have that information. You can email those folks. You can, test your donation forms and see what works, even if it's all going in the same bank account. Now, there is a former client of mine called University Christian Ministries for the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. And they are, help students with Bible studies and lunch programs and things like that. And so I helped them use Give, and I wrote the donation form landing page documents so that even though this money is all going to the same place, there is a specific donation form for the lunch program, for every single one of their programs, so that I can give based upon something that relates to me. Donations, and the reason why we donate is also closely tied to our identities. I donate to the National Domestic Violence Hotline. Every month they get $20 from me because as a child of abuse, I understand and relate to that. Mm-hmm. We donate because of who we are and how we identify.
Oh, I so don't disagree on that one. We do. And it's a lot based on experiences that we've gone through or somebody close to us has gone through, and that impacts our donations. There's no question about that one. In your book, you talk about research. And I think this applies to schools, but it applies to any marketing. Why is research important?
Well, I think it's pretty much part of well, as you say, any marketing. You've really got to, and we could maybe just use an example of the donors and the community as an example. You need to find out, who is interested in your school and why. You've really got to do a lot of that groundwork. And to continue with the donor example, I guess there would be really good example why researching the community, people who have attended, people who are connected in some way through business or other organizations, what the school means to them. What does the school provide, and why is it of any interest? Because this is going to be able to give you a lot of information, different demographics, the different interest groups that you have when it comes to your school, and it'll allow you to do your marketing based on that. Who is interested in, vocational training? Who is interested in sports? Who is interested in donating other than money? So donating their time, donating computers for a computer class, donating, whatever it might be. And this all goes really back to, what we always talk about, well, not we, but what people in marketing always talk about as being so important, and that is the advocacy of your customers, of your community. That really, I think, takes time to research, to look into, and to understand, and it's always in flux. So, marketing, research is just as important for schools marketing as it is for schools in their science projects or things. Research is something that just sort of goes through the whole vein of the school life.
Yeah.
And, the other thing you spend a lot of time in is you wrote a chapter on user experience. And the problem in the digital world we have is most people assume user experience means the website, the ads, the online community. And I would argue as a marketer, user experience is so much more than that. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yes. Bridget, do you have some thoughts on that?
Well, I'm not a UX nerd, but the thing is that in order to make a sale, you have to have 7 to 10 touches. We know this because we say it over and over again, but marketing is about human behavior. All of the technologies will always evolve and change. But what does it take for someone to decide to be part of this thing, right? Whether it's, to buy Air Jordans and collect them and fill up their closets with a bunch of shoes and then say that's an investment, okay? Is it that? Or is it that they are wanting to show their prestige because they're a fellow at Stanford University or Oxford, okay? So what's that experience that they have? So here's an example. I'll leave her unnamed, but someone I know got a full ride in the 1980s for USC. Now, USC is in a bad part of town. And before they started buying up more of the neighborhood, and that's a completely different topic, but before they started buying up the neighborhood and making more of a safe spot, the University of Southern California, USC, it was a very dangerous place to be. And just as another note, violence against women on college campuses is a reality and a big, big problem. So for the first semester, she went there until she was attacked. And that experience never left her. She dropped out and then went to a state college much closer to home and lived at home. Because she went to a college that did not have the prestige of USC. She still excelled in her life, but the user experience of being a woman, being a young female at USC in the 1980s was enough for her to decide to pay for her own college and get rid of that and deny her own access to a fully funded college experience at a prestige school.
That is a tough one, Bridget.
So user experience is the whole experience of the college. That's why branding is so important, right? So you could say that you're this and say that you're that, but branding, as we all know, 3 marketers on a podcast, who's going to get a word in edgewise? Branding is all about what people say about you. It's about their experience. Yeah. So everybody, for a long time, people were all about Converse, wearing Chucks. And I could not wear those shoes for a long, long time. After I lost a lot of weight, then I had a better problem and a better experience with Chucks. But before, they were originally like really, really flat shoes. And if you have a high arch, it doesn't matter how much I want to be part of the Chucks culture or how much I want to fit in stylishly. My experience of wearing those shoes is poor. And it goes the other way around. Like my experience at Fresno State was amazing. When people would say, "Oh, Fresno," I loved Fresno. It had such a diverse culture. It still does, historically, a diverse culture. And the food there is so fresh because it's right there. It's right there in the heart of agriculture. And you have Armenians and Hmong and Greeks and Italians and the best Mexican food I had in California. So like that experience made me really appreciate living in Fresno, and I enjoyed it. So I would recommend people go there. So that's the whole thing is with the branding. The experience is more than just the website. But then if you hear all these good things and then you go and try it for yourself and they fail you along the way, that's a bad UX.
So true. And the branding's like really key. I went to a community college back in the 80s in Toronto and a place called Centennial College. I still have strong ties to the school. I still have a couple of Centennial sweatshirts in my closet, new ones. And people will say, "Oh, I didn't know you went to Centennial." And I've had a couple people whose kids have gone because they talked to me and found out about my experience at the school. So that's so important too. It really is.
It's just to step in about the user experience. It goes both ways. For schools, this branding is really important. Probably when we think of colleges and universities, our parents went there. There's a lot of advertising. There's a lot of hype. We want that university life. Style. It's a very important part of our coming of age when we're 17, 18. So there's a lot of storytelling that goes into university branding and marketing. And that is probably for all of us, anyone who attends higher education, this is quite literally a life-changing moment. So, either the good or the bad experiences will stay with us. I know from my own experiences. I mean, when I was in Canada, I went to Simon Fraser. I went to University of Western Ontario, which they oddly rebranded to Western University, even though it's in the East. I don't understand that. Any of my experiences with Queen's University or McGill or UBC. I mean, every university has its own brand, its own story, and you really feel that when you are there. In Europe, it's not that much because we don't really have that there's not the campus university. So, universities are just buildings located in different places of the city, and you don't really have that storytelling that goes into creating, the user experience or the brand. That's really like the bigger picture of the user experience. And on the other side of the user experience is, as you say, like the website itself. And that can be very technical on one side or sort of in the middle. What most of us, understand to be a website that works on my mobile phone or not. We were really lucky. We got, for that chapter, we had Annemieke Beauvalet, who you can find pretty much everywhere. Geek in Heels. And she's really a usability, accessibility expert. So, they were talking about the fonts, the contrast of color, accessibility really on a technical level. But I think, we've got it on both ends of the spectrum. Either it's our experience with the product that the website talks about, and in this case, it could be a school. On the other end, the accessibility of, does the school's website work? But right in the middle, I think for me, what's really, really important when it comes to user experience is, quite honestly, when I'm on this website and I've responded to the marketing and I've seen the social media posts and I've clicked, does the website answer my question? Has it solved the problem that I've gone there for it to solve?
Right.
If it doesn't, then I've got a bad user experience. Yep. So, it really has, it's a wide spectrum when we talk about UX. You could probably write a whole book just on that.
There's your new book, my friend. Yeah. It's so true. I mean, and the problem we have in this business is website owners that don't hire somebody tend to write web content for themselves, not for their potential customers, viewers, or clients. And that's a mistake. You should always be doing the UX in terms of the people that you're doing it for, not for you.
Oh, for sure. Most people design their websites like this as well. It's usually the first thing that I do. It was the first thing I did when I came to my most recent university, was just tear the website apart, with the question, can anyone explain to me, if you don't work here, what these navigation terms mean? Mm-hmm. Because we usually build our websites and name our navigation structures from a very internal perspective. And no one outside of the university is going to understand that. But university websites or any school or any website, the audience is more than likely not going to be you. So, we have a tendency for, as you say, not only write content that it seems to be for ourselves, but we build our websites like that as well. It's not good.
So true. And while we're talking about websites, Bridget, what's going on with analytics? And we have to kind of dive in there. We're in a bit of a problem right now where the EU, as Warren knows, and we know, is starting to block analytics. There's all kinds of lawsuits, but we need those analytics because as a school, you need to know what's working and not working on your website.
Okay. Well, I have distinct opinions on analytics. And what I want to say about Google Analytics or Matomo Analytics or Twitter or Facebook, it's not the two stone tablets that came from Mount Sinai. It's not divine scripture. It's just data. And I think in this world, we this like last 10 years, we obsess over data as if it is the only fact. And what I constantly remind my friends and my clients and my peers is that data is a picture in the past of what you did. And so it's behavior from the past. Okay. So in her talk, TED Talk, Brene Brown is famous for saying stories are data with a soul. Okay. So we need context for data. So for example, if you have a 5-page website for your ballet school and you're only getting 40 clicks and then the next day you get 200, why? Google Analytics doesn't tell you why. They might show a source or a referrer, but you don't really know why. You know, maybe you didn't even have a campaign, but it could be just Russian bots. And I say that totally generically and have nothing to do with anything that's happening in the world right now. But it could be just bots, bot traffic. You know, a lot of times we get bot traffic and we're like, oh man, look at all the people that went to my website. It was nothing. You know, one time I was doing Twitter for a web hosting company, and we had 40,000 impressions in one day. 40,000, that's great, right? No, because that's the day our servers went down without redundancy because somebody literally cut a wire, okay? One wire, and the whole thing went to kaput. So data is just one small picture, okay? So if you are a university, you have so much data, it's not even funny because most of the colleges within the university have their own websites and you have your own marketing campaigns and blah, 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 blah. But it's one picture. But if your ballet school has 200 hits one day, it could be because Mary Jane, who went to that school 10 years ago, was talking to her friend who just moved into town, was looking for a place. And then they all started telling their friends, and then they were looking. Or there was a scandal with one of the teachers, and so everybody wanted to look at that website. Or one little kid got featured on TikTok, and now everybody wants to go to that ballet school. You don't know why. There's no such thing as a first-click lead. We always think, oh, we're going to put this in front of our customer, and then they're going to click on it, and then they're going to buy. Yeah, maybe there's TikTok made me do it, and a couple of those, you know, people buy laser vacuums, but that's non-durable manufacturing. That's goods. That's temporary. But for a school, what you need to know is over the course of time, do you have increased enrollments or not? That's the only thing you should be going by. Do you have a big turnover in your staff? That's what you need to care about. That's the data that's not in Google Analytics. You need to know why parents are sending their kids to that ballet school, why people are going to your yoga training retreats. You need to know why. The website is one small picture of that. And for another example, because I don't have enough rants on this, I worked for a travel agency for a while, and I said, "What's your best lead gen source?" And she said, "Yelp." I'm like, "Great. What else do you use for social media?" She goes, "That's it." So of course it's the best. It's the only one you're using, right? So once you add in Instagram and you start paying for Facebook ads, then maybe that's a different story, right? Even last month, I had a client who I did some boosted Facebook posts for. And, last month, we didn't do boosted Facebook posts. So the first month we had 8,000 impressions, and the second month we had 200. Sad. No, we paid for those 8,000. It doesn't. So it's like it looks, you have one great day, one great month, you have all green arrows. So the next month, I always tell my clients, the next month you will see only red, because what goes up must come down. You're going to look at the trend and the overall actions. And it does depend on your behavior as a marketing team and what tactics and strategies you're employing. So, should you care about data? Yeah, sort of, but you also need to give it a context.
Oh, I agree with that. You got to care about relevant data to your business. There's no question. I mean, a lot of people look at data and they don't even know what they're looking at and why. Oh, somebody told me impressions matter. Somebody told me likes matter. Somebody told me hits to my website matter. Well, at the end of the day, I always look at, did those hits roll the conversions, which rolled the business? And that, to me, is a more important number than 20,000 people looking at a website, because if those 20,000 didn't roll over the business, what does that matter?
Right. And Warren and I have talked about this a lot, and we've written about it for our clients with regard to open rates or click rates in email. Yes. So Apple gets blamed for it, but it's really California's privacy laws that took a hat tip from GDPR, and so what the big problem is, you never should have cared about open rates anyway. Open rates only about deliverability, right, Warren?
That's right.
As a guy with a large email list, I subscribe to that theory, and I have for a long time. I don't think at the end of the day they matter. What I care about is what engagement came out of the email, what sales came out of the email, what questions came out of the email. Those are things that matter.
My experience has been that web analytics are fine, but I have the impression that people expect that out of the box from the analytics also come a set of measurable goals. Mm-hmm. And that's just simply not the case unless they're vanilla ones. What's a good bounce rate? How many clicks is good? I mean, these are industry standard, and to be honest, it really doesn't matter. If you don't have business goals that your marketing strategy is supporting, then there really is no point in having analytics.
Oh my God, mic drop.
Why are you measuring these things? What are you measuring? But it's not uncommon, and it goes back to exactly what Bridget said, is that we have backed ourselves into a corner, not just in marketing, but I would say in general, as a society, that numbers matter. And of course numbers matter, but numbers only matter if they are giving you guidance about a goal or a result. If you don't have those, then the numbers, they're nice, but they're meaningless.
Yeah, we have a whole chapter on email marketing, right? And the thing is that SparkToro just had a blog post about asking people to unsubscribe with MailChimp and HubSpot and ActiveCampaign and all these kinds of marketing platforms charging by the user, you really want unsubscribes if you're paying for somebody who doesn't give a crap.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree. The biggest problem with email marketing is people don't do what we call segmenting the list. They throw their email at everybody. So I'll give you an example of that. I run a email marketing list. I've got about 8,000 people on my list for a small business that's pretty good. I have great open rates, but I don't really care. And I would rather, and I actually prune my list. So I'll turn around and say, oh, Bridget hasn't opened anything in a month, and I'll toss you in a sequence where I only email you once every 2 or 3 months. And the reason I do that is, frankly, I'm not wasting my time on somebody who doesn't read what I'm sending out and isn't interested. And they're not my customer, to be honest, at the end of the day. So the problem with email marketing is too many people take their email lists in schools. I've seen it time and time again. And they keep sending the same stuff to the same people, and they don't pay attention to who's opening and who's not. And they don't pay attention to, is this person interested in computer courses, but let's send them science courses? Like, what's the point of that?
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, emails are, getting these opens. It's the same as clicks. It's like, wow, we had 10,000 clicks on our website. It's like, what does that mean? It's kind of like we're now in the digital form of bums on seats, and it's just great that 100 people came to our talk and the room was full. But if only one of those people bought our book or signed up for the course, then really honestly, only one person attended our talk. The other 99, they're just space filler. And maybe they blocked seats from other people who were really interested. So I don't know. I really think the numbers are really great for marketing managers who want to show something on a diagram and say, look, we've got volume. It's like, well, a cow's got volume, but what are you going to do with the cow?
I agree.
I love cows, by the way.
I know you do. So let's talk a little bit about what schools could do better when they're doing, and you touched on in your book, on social media. I think a lot of schools, they post links like, to find out about our school, come here. Wouldn't it be better going back to the experiences and sharing some of that to get the energy up?
Definitely. Bridget, you are the social media guru. Do you want to answer first?
I think the biggest mistake that everyone makes on the internet, everyone, the girl selling Zaya leggings, the Pampered Chef person, the professor, the, verified Twitter account with 40,000 followers, every business, every human, the biggest mistake they make on social media is not replying to people.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a community I belong to. It's not school related. It's called the Twit Network out of Petaluma. Leo reports.
Yes, that's how I found out about Twitter and WordPress.
Yeah, and I've been a longtime fan of Leo. One of his co-hosts on TV, Andy Walker, shout out to Andy, went to school with me in high school in Montreal.
Stop it!
Yeah, and
that is
one
so
of his
cool.
other co-hosts, Amber MacArthur, Amber's in tech reporting in Toronto and business, who I've met many times. But his current community manager is a guy by the name of Ant Pruitt. And I'm going to shout out to Ant, because what Ant does on his Discord channel and in Twitter, when people say hello, when they comment about a show, Ant always takes the time to respond to people. And Ant is, I was saying on Twitter this morning, strange enough, is a great community manager because he takes the time to build the community. You do not build the community on social media by not responding to people and ignoring them. Then it's a one-way medium, like watching a television channel.
Yeah, it's just an RSS feed. And that's how most people deal with it. by not dealing with it, and it's super rude. You know, like if there's people that I talk to and I respond to them, whether it's a brand or a person, and they don't even have the 40 seconds left to say, "Hey, thanks, Bridget." Why would I bother even, talking about them ever again? Yeah. Whether it's Southwest Airlines or Fresno State, it doesn't really matter. And if you don't, if people say, "Oh, well, it doesn't scale," you know what? You don't get that many replies. Okay. There's not every day is United having to respond to United Breaks Guitar viral video from 12 years ago or whatever, most of the time it's just like, "Oh my gosh, I just got into what WGU's program." He's like, all you have to do is say, "We are so excited for you. We cannot wait to meet you." How hard is that? It's 40 seconds.
Yeah.
Go you. Thanks for sharing about our program. "Oh my gosh, your daughter looks so cute." Oh my, how hard is that? Like, "Thanks for coming to our class." It's not hard. Half the time, most brands don't even like the comments they get if it's appropriate. Or on Twitter, they'll just press a retweet button, which does what? What does that do? Like if I say to you, Rob, "Hey, I really like your tie today," and all you do is like just look at me and stare at me, I'm just like, that guy is freaking weird, right? Yes. But a normal person would say, "Thanks," or "Thanks, I got it at Brooks Brothers," or "Thanks, my mom gave it to me," or "Thanks, I really was worried about getting this color with this thing." No, it goes great together. That is the social kind of like secured credit card that builds trust in a relationship. So affinity leads to loyalty, and loyalty leads to sales. This is something about human behavior that we forget. Okay, so if I feel good when I interact with your brand, then I'm going to be loyal to you, which means I am going to keep tweeting, keep posting, keep talking about your brand offline. And that will help your sales. It's a long game, but that will always help your sales.
So true.
I think for schools as well, for social media, what's really important is that it's really a place of community for schools, and for recruitment, yes, but I think what schools forget, that we all forget, is, and it goes to user experience, is that if we have people on Twitter, we always have to think, why are these people following me on Twitter? Mm-hmm. And that can very well be different than why they are following me on Facebook or Pinterest or TikTok. Every platform offers something different, and our needs are something different on these different platforms. This is why we use all these platforms. So I think we have to be very aware of that and responsible, and not just post the same information on every platform. We have to use them responsibly. These are tools, and most of us just use it without thinking because it's so easy to use. And then it's very hard to really know if we're connecting with people, and which is really why we're there. We need to connect, and we have this relationship. But I don't think we really think about it that often.
That is so true and so well said, Warren. Bridget and Warren, thanks for joining me today. You can find their book, The Only Online Marketing Book You Need for Your School, on Amazon. Funny story, when I ordered my book, I actually got mine before Warren, the author's book. So
yes, it's a very amusing story, Robert.
That is quite funny. It doesn't hurt that in the GTA there's an Amazon Center within an hour from me, so that probably helps.
There you go.
Bridget, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, how's the best way?
Best way is to find me on Twitter at Bridget M. Willard.
Yes, and I will tell you, Bridget does answer her tweets, so harass her, and if you're bored, you can follow her design tips every day about what clothes she's buying and all of that stuff, because I think that's still on Twitter, right, Bridget?
Yep. Well, yeah. mostly Instagram. I like to give people different reasons to follow me everywhere instead of just vomiting all over the internet at the same time.
Yeah. And Warren, how's the best way to get a hold of you?
I guess probably on Twitter as well, Warren L. Nida. I offer no fashion tips whatsoever.
but he does answer his Twitter DMs, so you know.
I do.
So thank you guys for joining me. You both have a wonderful day.
Thanks for having us, Rob.
Thanks. A very special thank you to Bridget and Warren for joining me on today's podcast discussing their book, The Only Online Marketing Book You Need for Your School. Go to Amazon, get the book today. You'll find it most helpful in marketing your school. Thank you for listening to this edition of the SDM Show. The SDM Show is brought to you by Rob Cairns and Stunning Digital Marketing. For more information about Rob Cairns and Stunning Digital Marketing, go to stunningdigitalmarketing.info. From here, you can connect to us on social media, go to our website, and even go to the podcast to subscribe. This podcast is dedicated to my late father, Bruce Cairns. Dad, I miss you very much. Keep your feet on the ground. Keep reaching for the stars. Make your business succeed.